Hey, Plexus Freedom Team. Welcome to Monday Night Live, our very first Monday Night Live in the month of November. And so I'm really excited to get to share with you tonight about a topic that, believe it or not, was not my idea. It's very rare you'll find a red who will admit something not being their idea, especially when it turned out to be such a popular idea. I had no idea. But a friend of mine on my team, I was taking some suggestions from some people that I trusted, and I just said, hey, I have the next Monday Night Live, and I would love to get to talk to you about something that you think is relevant. And so this friend said, I'd really love to hear what it was like before you got to be where you are. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because y'all, I'm still the girl that, like, after working out, before I have to do a team call, I'm like, oh my God, like, am I good to go? Because I'm just a regular human. And so I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, before you're winning shopping sprees and going on cruises and making thousands of dollars a month and quitting your job, like, what did your life and your journey look like to get where you are today? And it really kind of was like a punch in the gut, because I thought I had been doing a good job of being transparent. But when you're almost 3 years into a journey, you forget the emotion that place evoked. And so you might tell the story and you might mention some things, but time does heal most wounds. And so the pain or the feeling or the emotion that you might have to walk through in this journey does become buffered, especially when you're able to hit some pinnacles of success. And so I realized right then that you hear all the time with all of the top level people in network marketing that being vulnerable is a key that you must learn how to do, and yet one that we are very rarely willing to endure, okay? Because nobody wants to be caught with their pants down. Nobody. Think about all dreaming that you showed up to school with no britches on, or nobody wants to be embarrassed or humiliated. And so vulnerability, transparency, has this weird negative connotation of humiliation or embarrassment. And y'all, I'm here to tell you that if there are things in your journey that you feel humiliated by or embarrassed of, those are the very things that will build you up to the level of success that you're hoping to achieve. And I'm going to talk about a lot of different things tonight. So very first thing I want to talk about is what my mindset was like as a brand new ambassador. So for those of you who don't know my story, my journey, I was a full-time teacher. Brittany and I had known each other for 20 years, okay? I knew her. I liked her. I knew that she had made strides of personal growth since the Brittany I had known in school. And so I was impressed with the life that she was living at this point. And so I trusted her enough to buy her product. I used her product faithfully for a year. And she continued to plant seeds throughout that year, even though I said, no. She said she saw potential. And so she continued to share and ask questions. And so I jumped in with the business, and I say jumped in, but that's not the truth. Okay. I joined in January. I had just had Tegan that July. So I had a nursing baby. I was in graduate school, finishing my second grad degree, was teaching full time, and then I had the two big kids. So when she said, hey, listen, I just got my first check with the comment in it, you really should do this. And I thought to myself, and don't take this the wrong way, Britt, but I thought to myself, well, if Brittany can be making $1,000 a month, I'm pretty sure I can. Because I knew on paper, I had a successful career. I had lots of pieces of paper that said I was smart and capable. Degrees, right? And so I knew that if she could do it, I could at least do that. And so I'm like, all right, I'm a teacher. I get paid once a month. And so if I could just figure out how, hang on one second, guys, let me mute everybody. If I could just figure out how to make at least $1,000 a month, I knew that would be freeing for our family. I was hitting the stage of having kids where I realized that it wasn't the diapering stage that's most expensive. It was the, hey, Mom, I need to go on a field trip, and it's overnight, and it's $315. Or, hey, Mom, I really want to do this traveling sports team, and it's going to help me, and it costs $700. Like, I knew that those were going to be the expensive times. And so there was no extra as a teacher. It wasn't happening. And so that's kind of where I was. And we had a phone call, Brittany and I did, and she said, all right, Christina, how much money or how much time are you willing to invest in your business? And I was not being a smart aleck at all, but I said, as little as possible, Brittany. Like, I didn't feel as though I had a ton of time, and I certainly wasn't willing to take away from the things that I thought were more important. So I said as little time as possible. And so she said that she knew right then that I was not all in, and so you guys see Brittany and I working together all day, every day at this point, but it wasn't that way. Like, Brittany cast some vision, and then until I was ready, she just kind of did a little along with me. So it took me almost a month to get my first joint, like 3.5 weeks, I think. And I tried to quit the day before I got it. I'm like, Brittany, I just can't do this. Like, I done told you this ain't gonna work. I can't do this. And she's like, you can do this. So call me when you decide not to quit. And so I didn't quit, got my first join. Finally, it was not a family member. It was not even a friend. You guys, people, y'all, I was voted most humorous in high school. Okay. People generally, I felt like, liked me until I started trying to share Plexus. And then nobody liked me, I guess. That's what my brain was telling me, right? Nobody likes me. My own mama ain't trying to do Plexus. My neighbor ain't trying to do Plexus. It happened to be a parapro in a hallway, not even on my hallway at school, y'all. Bless it. Okay. But I tell you that because that was a point for me. When I got my first join, I could have been like, okay, well, that was a lot of work. Never mind. Or I was like, I got one. And listen, she told me I only have to have 3 or 4 really influential people and I could be a diamond. So I really kind of started paying attention. I got on the book, or not the book study. That was not time for that yet. I got on the team call and listened to some things and began to see that other people were being successful. And again, y'all, I'm a competitive person. Like, just to the core of who I am, I'm just competitive. And so that is what kind of fueled me forward. And Brittany said she remembers the day that I said, literally kind of out loud to myself, I'm going to be a diamond. Like, by golly, I'm going to do this. So I said as little time as possible in the very, very beginning. And you guys see, it took me 3.5 weeks to get a first join, because as little time as possible typically is going to yield as little results as possible. So I found out that was not going to be the way that I could do this if I wanted an actual business. So I did something real creative today, and I asked you guys to send me questions that you would ask me back then. And so throughout what I'm going to talk about, I'm sprinkling these questions in. And somebody asked, did your life ever get in the way? I wanted to respond back and be like, yes, with all the exclamation points, if you let it. Life will always happen, you guys, and if you let it, it becomes in the way. But taking care of my kids, that never gets in the way because it's a priority. It's a non-negotiable. It's something that I have to do. And so I began to see my business in the same light. And I mean, y'all, listen, I've had another baby since working my business. I've planned a wedding since working my business. I've had sick children. I have had deaths in our family. There are things in life that could have been in the way. But in the same sense that, oh, well, grandma died and now I can't take care of Tegan, like that didn't make sense to me. And so tragedy happens, but life has to continue. And so for me, building a business was part of that. It was a non-negotiable, and I had to figure out how to make all the pieces fit. So yes, can life get in the way? Sure. And do you sometimes need a day? Absolutely. But y'all, I have always operated with the idea that I'm going to be so front loaded that if something were to pop up, and I'm going to talk about some things that pop up in a little while, I would be okay. I have a cushion. So I have a cushion of IPA. I mean, y'all heard, if you were in my chat earlier, I'm up to almost 180 messages this week since Saturday. So I'm front loaded on IPA. So guess what? If crap hits the fan tomorrow and something tragic happens, I'm okay because I'm front loaded here. I pour into my team as often as possible. So if something happens and I have to be, on a cruise for a week, it's okay. They don't fall apart because I take care of them on the front end. I try to work so so I don't know the word, before the fact, so in the front end of it, that if something happens, I'm not scrambling anymore. In the same sense that you don't wait until your daughter turns 16 and is going to be in a car and unattended with a boy to teach her how she's supposed to behave. You work on the front end in case they find themselves in a situation that's not ideal. And so same thing with my business. I work on the front end in case something not ideal happens, because let me go ahead and tell you, that will happen to you. You will find yourself in a situation where you're not prepared, you didn't see it coming, it just that much out of the blue. But if you have done the things leading up to that, then you have to have some solace and some confidence and some comfort in knowing you had done all that you could at that point, and you got to let it kind of ride out. So, Fallon did I don't know if it was a team call or what one time, but she was talking about, life being in the way. And she said that you have to be really intentional with changing how you think about your life and your circumstances. And instead of saying, I have to do this, change those words and say, I get to do this. Hey, you know what? Instead of saying, I have to do this IPA today, I get to. I'm in an opportunity that will change. It already has changed my life. I get to do that. That's a huge blessing. Not I have to work out today, but my God, I get to work out. I have the physical capability of moving my body. I get to do that. I have to go to a chorus concert tomorrow night. No. I have a beautiful child who is involved in extracurricular. I get to go listen to a chorus concert tomorrow night. And so that was huge for me. It was huge for my marriage, my relationship. It wasn't I have to take care of it. It was I get to do that. Like I get to be his only wife in the world. I get to help him. I get to take care of him. So mindset, when life gets in the way, if your mindset's not there, if you haven't been preparing yourself, then it's going to feel like a huge hurdle in your way. But if your mindset is right, then you're going to be able to handle that hurdle much more effectively, which takes me into my next thing, and it's hardships. Y'all, I had no idea that you guys thought that my journey had just been peaceful and beautiful and awesome. It has been awesome. And those other words do not apply. I have a boy in my life. His name's Nate. Those of you who are on this call and you know him, Nate he lived at our house growing up. I have a brother, for those of you that don't know, who passed away. It's been many, many years ago, but he was my brother's best friend. And so someone I value him tremendously. He acts a fool sometimes, but I just loved him as a person. I still do love him as a person, but he was so hateful to me when I started this business, picking on me, y'all, and not just to me, like to my family, on his Facebook, like the whole 9 yards. Someone who I thought who had promised, as a matter of fact, to have my back always, was poking fun at the one thing that I knew could change everything. Because that's one thing I never lacked, y'all. I never lacked belief in what this opportunity could be. I lacked whether or not I would put the work in to make it happen, but I knew that if I did, it would lead to financial freedom. I knew that. I knew that that was my only way out of a classroom. I knew it. I knew it without a shadow of a doubt. There's another girl that Brittany and I went to school with. I messaged her about Plexus, not knowing that Brittany had also messaged her before. And so she messaged me very kindly that day and said, just so you know, I'm doing a post on Facebook today about all of these people messaging me about Plexus and other businesses, and it's not really directed at you, but I'm posting it today, so just heads up, and I'm not interested. Well, all right then. That was my very first round of messages. She was on my Franks list, and she shut me down and then blasted me on Facebook. So that stuff happens to me, and it doesn't ever get easier. Y'all, I'm telling you, I don't know about fate and all that stuff, but let me tell you what happened tonight. Met a girl on Facebook, liked her, super cute. I was actually so excited about her. I sent Brittany a screenshot. I was like, this girl's joining my team. It's so exciting. She was doing the Slay the Season challenge tonight. She messaged me. I came upstairs. She was like, hey, I got my little girl down. I'm ready when you are. I voice messaged her and said, great. Can I give you a call? It's probably easier if you just want to give me your info. Lo and behold, y'all, she messaged me back and said one thing. She said, yeah, I want to do it, but not if there's a subscription. Like, I'm not interested at all in a subscription. And I was like, oh, well, listen, a subscription is totally optional. It's something that I recommend, blah, blah, blah. I've had this conversation a million times. Conversation's going great. I go to send her my next message, and it says, she's not receiving messages at this time. I was like, wait a second. Went to her Facebook page. Lo and behold, I could request her as my friend again. So the only way to go from being someone's friend to being able to refriend them is if you are unfriended. So today, right now, at Senior Ruby Points, halfway to Emerald, I got unfriended and blocked by a girl who told me. She came to me. I didn't do anything wrong. It's not a reflection of me, y'all. Now, for a second, did I get my panties in a wad? Probably. I believe I texted Brittany and I was like, what in the world? What in the world? But y'all, you know what? Mindset is so much of the battle because I know it's not a me issue. I know that I had something super fun and exciting that she would have liked to be a part of. It's a her issue. It's not a me issue. I'm not going to not reach out tomorrow to someone else for fear that they're going to unfriend me or block me, because guess how much that affects my life? Zero. I'm still going to get paid next week. I'm going to still be at home with my babies. I'm going to still be over here losing some weight. So it's not affecting me. She doesn't affect my overall life. I didn't die. And I think sometimes we forget about the perspective to put it in. But without mindset, your perspective is not going to happen. If you're following your feelings, Sonia Dudley all the way, if you haven't watched her video, go watch it. If you're following your feelings and you allow yourself to go that direction, it's going to spiral very quickly. Allow yourself to feel the sting, because rejection will sting, I think, from now to double diamond. Nobody likes to be rejected. Nobody. But y'all, the difference is I could laugh it off and be like, okay, I'll do some reflecting. I'll go back and I'll look at our messages and make sure that I didn't have a tone, or I'll go back and I'll analyze. But 99% of the time, you guys, the issue is not me. And I'm okay with that. I know what the place I was coming from was a good place, and I'm okay with it. So, another hardship, learning, and this has come for me very, very recently in the last probably 9 months, coming to the place of realizing that the team that gets you to your next rank very likely may not be the team that got you to your current rank. And for someone who prides themselves on being friends with everybody, that was a hard pill to swallow. I felt like I had betrayed them. Maybe I had let them down. Why weren't they doing what they said they wanted to do? You know, they wanted to build a business. I gave them the tools to do it. Why weren't they doing it? Maybe I wasn't supportive enough. Maybe I wasn't encouraging enough. Maybe my dominant personality overran their personality. I have no idea. I have learned a ton about ways to be a more effective leader. Things that I would not have learned had my whole team stayed the same. So I'm very grateful. I mean, I miss them. I wish that they would have come along with me, because here's the thing, guys, come hell or high water, I am going to the top of the company, and I'd love for all of them to come with me. But the fact that they didn't, the fact that they're not here, has really made me analyze, because I know that the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. And I know if there's a problem that's trickling down in my organization to more than one leg, that it stems from the leader, and that's me. And so it's required me to do a ton of digging, a ton of those books that they ask us to read. We joke, you guys, because I just became a student of this profession in the last year. So essentially I wasted that first year and a half of momentum. You know what I mean? If I had only capitalized on it, if I had only been doing all the things and learning how to take care of my people in the beginning instead of thinking I had it all together, maybe I would have kept them. Maybe they would still be here. Maybe I would be already a diamond. You know, you'd never know. But that didn't happen. And so I'm having to relearn, and I've been given the opportunity to spend time with new team members, which has been well worth the investment. But just understanding that sometimes your teams, you'll have to reposition them, regrow them. And that's okay, because I think that's something that you have to do forever. I think the second that you get settled, the second that you think you've made it with that team, is the second that your organization will crumble. Now, I don't think you'll always have to be in massive recruiting mode and massive team building mode, but I think you should always be looking for people who are better than you, who can better your organization. If you'll go and look at any of the diamonds, they'll tell you that a large percentage of their team who got them to their rank are no longer there. So had they not been continuing to build, that would put them in trouble. So understanding that sometimes you will have to regrow your team, is okay. But y'all, be a better leader for the new set of people coming in than you were for the first, because it cannot always be everyone else's fault. Because guess what? The only common denominator was who their leader was. And so always be reflected. That's what I've learned. Always reflect on what I could do differently to become a better leader in the future. Another huge hurdle. And some of you guys know this. You may or may not know it. But I probably had one of the biggest disappointments that you can have in this business. And there are a few of you who know the situation, but my team and I pushed for Senior Ruby last year, a few months before I actually achieved it. And it was a hard push. We made the decision at the beginning of the month that we were going to become a Senior Ruby team, and we rallied and we worked hard, and we thought that we had done all the things necessary, y'all. I mean, we were convinced. I had it, convinced. And I had to go to my team on the first day of the month following, when everything hard posted, and I ended, y'all, Senior Ruby points is 750 if you didn't know. We ended at 747 points. There is no rounding up, y'all, in case you were unaware. So not only had I failed to meet a rank that my family knew I was pushing for, my husband knew I was pushing for it, my coworkers at school knew I was pushing for it, my uplines, like multiple uplines, knew I was pushing for it, and every person on my team knew I was pushing for it. And I had to go and say, hey guys, we failed to make that goal. We did not hit it. We did not hit it. That was probably the lowest point that I had been, and I was there at almost a Senior Ruby, probably the lowest point. And I knew right then that that was either going to bury me or build me. I knew it. I mean, it was one of two choices. I couldn't stay where I was. So I was either going to let it bury me or I was going to let it build me. And I think I took about a day and a half, and I, licked my wounds, and I apologized profusely to my team. I just, I did some reflecting, but then I just made the decision that, again, I was going forward. Whatever it took, I was moving forward, and that this was going to be part of my journey, and that there was going to be someone in the future on my team or on a sideline or whatever who was going to face a similar hurdle, and I was going to have a story to tell them, and I was going to be stronger and better for it. And I was. Y'all, we ended up hitting that rank. Took us a couple months, but we got there, and I treasured it more than I would have if I'd hit it the first time. I learned valuable lessons that I would not have learned otherwise. And so I'm grateful for that part of the journey. I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the year that I've spent at this rank. Is it longer than I thought? Gosh, yes. Y'all, I'm telling you, I'm a competitive human. So I thought I would just fly right through the ranks. Not the case. You see a Senior Ruby sitting right here for a whole year, and I'm okay with it, because the amount of growth that I've taken now has me miles ahead of where I was then. And y'all, I'll be a better emerald for it. I'll be a better maintaining emerald for it. And so embrace the journey where you are, only if you're willing to put work into yourself where you are. If not, you're wasting your time. Jill Renfro has a video that talks about not using the word stuck, but instead using the terms willing to grow. If you're stuck, it's because you're being lazy and you're not working. If you're in a place that you don't want to stay, but you're willing to grow, then you're not stuck. You're growing. Sometimes growth has to happen on the inside before you can see it on the outside. So being stuck, that's not allowed. Some others that, God, I could go on forever. It's already 10 o'clock. I had to make a change in my recruiting style. I had to stop going after the easy recruit. I had to stop throwing a sell at every single person. I had to stop trying to sweeten the deal and beg them to be on my team and ask them for favors. I had to go after quality of people who valued their help, quality of people who could afford what I was offering because they had made good, wise choices in their life, not people who every single month were ending their bank account with 3 pennies in it. I really had to change that. And y'all, it's hard to not go after the easy recruits. It's hard. but the payoff has been so worth it because I have found quality people who have joined my team and gone gold in 3-4 months, people who want to go all the way to diamond, and I don't have to beg them or borrow them or drag them or whatever. I found high quality people who were able to see an opportunity for what it was. So I had to change my recruiting style because, y'all, I'm here to tell you, easy come, easy go. If you have to offer them a sale every single time to get them, when the sale stops, so will their business, which means your business is not growing. If you're getting them and they're not reordering, you might as well not have even gotten them. That's a call for another day. I want to tell you, comparison happens, y'all, even near the top. So many of you think of senior rubies, and we talked about this last week on the book study call. If you were on there, if you weren't, shame on you. But we talked about being in that shopping spree room and me sitting at the very, very back because I just felt like I didn't quite fit. Like all of these girls, look at them. They all looked glamorous. They all knew what Tory Burch was. They all had big plans to go to these big name brand things. All I was thinking is, can I get some Adidas up in here? Like, I just did not think I could get there. I compared myself with Carrie, who was the top credit earner. Why couldn't I have as many credits as her? It happens at the top, y'all, but mindset is what determines whether or not that comparison steals your joy or motivates you to be better. So if you're waiting for the time in your life where you're not going to be concerned about other people around you, you're crazy. That's not ever coming. But be concerned because you want to grow like they're growing. Be concerned because you want to duplicate systems that they're duplicating. Be intentional with that comparison. Y'all, you better believe I put myself right next to Amy Kosmowski because I knew she was wise and intelligent and had a lot of perspective to offer, and I asked questions. I didn't have to be the know-it-all. I don't want to ever be the know-it-all. I asked a bunch of questions. If they're going to be better than me, I might as well learn from them, right? But that's not a place I could have been in mindset-wise a year ago. Mindset-wise, I would have sat back with a chip on my shoulder because I'd won a shopping spree. Whereas this year, because of all the growth, because of the year that I've spent doing what I've been doing, I want to spend that time with people who are better than me and see it as a positive thing. Because if you constantly surround yourself with people that you're better than, there's no one to take you higher. But that's a mindset thing. You have to learn that. I have written down mindset is critical at every level. Every level. If you're silver, you better know that you are going to the next rank. Not maybe, not if this happens, then that will happen. You better know. Kristen Abart said that when she was a silver, she carried herself and acted as though she was already a diamond because she knew that's where she was going. Think about it with my parenting. I know that I'm raising successful people of society who will contribute in a positive way. I'm not going to wait until they're 18 and I shove them out the door and hope it happens then. Same with your business. You can't wait until you're a diamond to get ready to be a diamond. You got to know and know and know that's where you're headed, because then and only then will you actually perform like that. Your work ethic, you have to grow in the journey. Y'all, you hear all the time, we talk about how much IPA we do. We talk about how much reading we do. We talk about this. If you're not willing to have work ethic that is just astounding, you can't expect growth that is astounding. No other business can you go work in and make tens of thousands of dollars a month and expect to put in a fraction of work. It's not going to happen. But y'all, the difference is now I get to work on stuff that I love. I get to work in a place that I love. Was it like this in the beginning? No. I had to get up very, very early. Y'all, I taught for 2 years doing this. I was a full-time teacher for 2 years doing this, planning a wedding, having babies, raising big kids, having nursing babies. I didn't let that be an excuse. I got up at 4:30 in the morning. Did I want to sleep till 5? Sure. Was it worth the sacrifice? Absolutely. Because here's some things I wasn't going to sacrifice. I wasn't going to sacrifice dinner with my family. Wasn't going to sacrifice bath time. And Brittany had this conversation with me early on. She said, what are your non-negotiables? I told her. She said, what are your negotiables? I said, I guess I can give up some sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Hell, I don't know. Heck, I don't know. I could give that up. I could give up 30 minutes of sleep in the morning. I could stay up 30 minutes later at night. I could give up my teacher's lounge lunch meetings, sit in my own room by my own self. Because guess what value is being added to my life in the teacher's lounge? 0. but I could do something that would add value, right? I could give up, the tanning bed. That's 30 minutes to myself. Well, big whoop. You know what else I want to myself? My whole life. So you have to decide what is worth it and then get out of your own way. I'm here to tell you that it will be worth it. You do not have to sacrifice what is most important, but you will have to sacrifice. You will. And it's not your upline's job, your sideline's job, nobody's job to beg you. Decide what you can give up. Maybe you can give up The Walking Dead. Maybe you can give up your every Wednesday dinner with pals. Y'all, because it's a temporary sacrifice. All of that sacrifice let me go have an entire week in the Bahamas and in Miami without having to ask a boss for the day off. Because y'all, teachers, we get 3 days off a year. So do the math. 5 days out of a week, I would have been up the creek. Okay? It has been worth it. Every bit of sacrifice has been worth it. And then the last few things I have written down, y'all, is, retention, attrition issues, all of the issues that you think that you're struggling in your business, know that we struggle with it tenfold. We struggle every single day with trying to make sure we're getting people great results on their product, that we're not letting them quit, that we're handling their objections, that we're handling their defeat. Every day. If you could see the number of white lines in my back office, yours would not look so sad anymore. And I mean that in every bit of seriousness. Brittany will probably tell you, out of everybody on her team, I probably carry the majority of the white lines. You know why? Because I didn't do personal growth in the beginning, and I didn't know how to recruit effectively for people who were going to stay long term. Could that discourage me? Sure. Y'all, I could be diamond if you looked at my back office. Brittany could probably be double diamond. I kid, but I'm just saying, anything that you struggle with, expanding your network. Y'all, homegirl over here sends hundreds of messages a month. You think I've ever run out of people to talk to? Nope. You know why? Because there are billions of people that are at our fingertips. So if you're telling us that you're out of people to talk to, you don't have a network, that's not true. Every day I find 10 or 15 people that we have a lot of mutual friends, and I'm adding them on Facebook. I don't have to have a reason. Y'all, they get friend requested all the time. It doesn't seem odd that I've added them as my friend. And I do it so often that when it's time for these challenges, and I sat down today and messaged 180 people, it wasn't hard to find them. And I didn't have to offer them an explanation of why I was messaging them. It's social media, you guys. There are no rules. It doesn't hurt my feelings if they're not okay with it. They'll just unfriend me. I know I have something fun that everybody should want to be a part of, and so I'm okay with putting myself out there. But if I had not been adding friends every single day, if I had not been being involved in fitness groups and being involved in recipe groups and being involved in parenting groups and being involved in wife groups, but I plug into those things. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it builds value, right? There are a million other things I could say, you guys. It's 10:06, and so I know the rules. So here's what I will tell you going forward. Don't let outside influences affect your perspective. Right now, you're going to hear people say, oh, this is the slow season in Plexus. And so for some reason, we hear slow season and we think that means slow work. Y'all, it's the opposite. If you feel like your business is growing slow right now, you need to be sending 180 messages a day. Maybe not 180, but you should be sending an amount that feels ginormous to you. Maybe that's 25 messages a day. Maybe you're only sending 5, and so jumping it up to 20 a day, that seems monumental to you. Push yourself there. You can do anything for 60 days. And I promise you, if you'll go into a 60-day spurt, if you'll go into a 60-day blitz right now, come January and February, when it's the fast season, your business will take off. Because here's the thing, if you wait till January to get started, there's a 60 to 90 day reaping and sowing process. You're going to miss the busy window. You don't want to do that. But y'all, we're recruiting people every day. We're adding new business builders every day. And if you want to avoid a slow season, be adding new business builders during that slow season, because they're in their warm market. They're going to be recruiting. So become a student of the profession. Do what your upline's telling you to do. If it's someone that you trust, and if not, why'd you join them? You join an upline because you trust them. They're here because they want to grow. And so trust that they're telling you things that they think might be effective, and do something. If you don't like what they're telling you to do, try something different, but do something and analyze and offer feedback. Y'all, I tell my girls all the time, hey, this is what I learned today. I'm like, girl, go make a video. People need to hear from you. The only way that people are going to know what it's like at silver and at gold and at senior gold and at ruby and at senior ruby is if people who are there are sharing. So guys, if you feel like you need to hear more about being silver and you're a silver, share more. Like, our team page is open for you guys. Share what you're learning. Share your experiences, always in a positive light, but share more. That's what's going to resonate with people. So I will end here. I could go on all night long, but the fact of the matter is, it would not be a journey if we showed up at the finish line without scrapes and cuts and bruises and probably a crutch and a cast. But you know what? The people who cross the finish line, those are going to be the ones who have achieved financial freedom. Because we're all falling. If you look back, everybody's falling over that hurdle. Everybody's tripping. Everybody's stumbling. But you either roll forward and you get up, or you roll off the track and you give up. And I'll never quit. So thanks y'all for getting on. See you later.